Welcome back to another Design League playthrough, this time with no baby, so that should be easier. And we're playing one from Course Design HQ, who I believe is starting up a YouTube channel. Well worth giving him a follow if you're interested in design, and hey, particularly if you see stuff here you like. And immediately there's a lot of cool stuff. We've got coastal, we've got pines. I believe it's named Pine Shores, so that would fit. We've got some rocks and things as well, so looking forward to giving this one a play. As you can see, we are... Yeah, I think we're inside our we're inside our 800 by 350. We're on a little island, which means lots of coastal usage. And yeah, let's see what we can do. So, first off, I think the first thing I'd mention is the waste bunkers feel a bit man-made. These can take a while to get used to, and you kind of want to get a bit more of a natural shape rather than... They just feel a bit linear, I guess. If they tend to be off to the side, excuse me, that's kind of typically penalising an already poor shot. Try to bring them into the fairways a little bit more and wind your fairways around them, and I think they work a bit better. And just mixing up your brushes so that it's not quite so jagged. I guess when I say linear, they are kind of coming in and out, but the general trend is a straight line. You kind of want them in and out and a bit more, not like always in and out, but just feeling a little bit more random, because waste bunkers should by definition be natural. Now, in terms of fairway, there's some sculpting here I don't love. If we're laying up with a 4-iron, I don't get why we need an extra little lobe there or there. I think this is trying to wind around the waste bunker, but I think you just generally have straighter lines on the fairway will work neater. This bit I understand a bit more, but yeah, even then I don't think you need it because nobody's laying back there on this hole. In terms of the driving area, I mean, it seems fair. It's a pretty straightaway hole. Green has big fall off back right. Probably a bit big for my tastes. Typically, if it goes beyond like 4 red boxes, then I think we're in trouble. We're veering into should this still be green. I think if you'd cut your green around here, that might make it a little bit neater. And you've lost a lot of pinnable space here. I'm not saying I wouldn't say I'm disliking the slope being there. I just think scaling wise we could make it fit a little bit neater. It doesn't strike me there's a ton of strategy off the tee. I'd like something to make me think a little bit more, although I've left myself with a pitch shot, so I guess maybe that's part of it. In terms of interesting green shapes, which we have one here, when we have these sorts of green shapes that are kind of cut in at angles, or you see where it's not just like a more smooth line, for me there has to be a feature that explains why why is the green this shape, why have we not just cut it up here. So here I think I would either be mounding this up a bit more because that makes it clear that it wouldn't be green, or I'd just have more green over it. I think either or would make a little bit more sense. Same here, I think just smoothing out the edges would be a little neater. Oh, I do not like pitch shots. That's not a good shot, I don't think. Might get away with that. Planting in the back looks pretty decent. The one thing that does strike me planting wise is you've got a lot of the same trees at kind of the same heights and orientations. I think tree lines work best generally when they follow the land, so here if we were trending our trees down this side, and like your other type of tree, so you've got your Swiss sort of pine here, and then the cedar, if we were clumping those cedars together I think it would look a little bit neater. Green speed 166, which makes sense for this course. But yeah, nice. Seems to be a theme that we've had a lot of kind of gentle openers. Works well. Okay, and our second, I appreciate the effort that's gone into this wall. You want to be careful when you're doing this, that loads of those little rocks can cause lag, so just hopefully when playtesting that hasn't happened. I think you would have been better served by going with fewer rocks but bigger, and personal taste, the bright white ones don't work quite so well for me. Longish, well, mid par 3, you've got some helping slopes, and we've got some slopes that aren't totally making sense. Like this bit has over flattened to the extent that it's kind of almost coming back the other way. Whereas when you see this giant slope, I typically expect to see a little bit of break coming this way. I presume you've flattened heavily to have a pin there, one there, maybe one here, but I really hope not. Hopefully just another one down here, but the fact that you've put this one right in the centre of that makes me think you've probably put one here. Rocks, I think, potentially come a little bit far up. When they're coming above the land, maybe lose a couple. I like the side on green though. Oh, that is not a good tee shot. That needs to get lucky. Oh, we're alright. But yeah, introduces us to the coastal element of the course nicely. Ooh, now there is a tight tee shot. Personally, I'd love it if you'd given us, like, the biggest challenge you've got is, can I stop the ball this side of the cliffs? I think you've done so much about this tee shot well. This is framed really nicely. It's great. I love the little grove of trees here as we're hitting out to the ocean. Love the openness here. A lot of them kind of newer designs would plant trees out on the coastline. I'm delighted you haven't done that. Strategically, I think this hole would play miles better if you allow fairway. So if you give fairway like through here, well then suddenly I'm wondering, can I inch this way and stop driver before I hit? Because I'm forced to lay up here. There's just no way I'm hitting driver short, carrying it here and stopping it. Certainly not carrying it here and then stopping it. And if I am, that's going to feel like far more luck than judgment. Whereas I think if you allow that to be all fairway, then people have to hit a bit of a partial drive, and that's a really good challenge. As is, I almost feel like I'm forced to lay way back, particularly this wind, which I'm not going to say it's not bad design. I'm delighted that you've given us that layup option, but I think that layup was almost forced by the fact that everything was so difficult. Sculpting wise, I mean, same thing with the green shapes. I'm not loving this pin, if I'm honest. Just, it's one of those tiers that falls away on all sides, so you've done it by raising up with like a circle brush, and you can kind of see the imprints of where it's all falling around, so it'll be one of those first few brushes. Let's see if I can just layer this over it. So if you've raised this area up, it means that everywhere on the outside is falling away from it, which just means there isn't really a good miss. Now, at least you've done it on a short par 4, but particularly, and it does reward me from taking on the coastline, although I do feel that that was almost impossible off the tee. Again, the little bit of green here, if you allow me that, then that gives me more of an option to land it here and run it up. As is, I have to just be super precise. So I kind of think I'm just playing for, let's just play for the green. Oh, wow. Shot was that bad in wind. But like, there's no point in even going at that pin, at least from my point of view. Which is okay. You can by all means have some pins where it's just an absolute no-go. But generally I think allowing a miss long or left or right or short. Now you could argue that missing short on that pin was fine, which is why I went gap wedge, but it didn't really feel there was a decent way to get at that pin. Alright, we now head towards more coast. I like that you have not surrounded this green with any bunkers. That works really well for a par 5, particularly if we use land movement. Let's see what we can do. Probably aiming over that tree, aren't we? Ah, that very slow typically only ever appears when they've got water on the right, so I'm glad it's there. Trees on this side. With these bushes, I think you can sink them a bit more. It will look better. They don't quite sit right at that high up. really like the choice of grass you're using. That works. That colour and the green bushes just works really well together. Yeah, we're just hacking down here, aren't we? It's a shame because that's a really nice little skyline green that you've developed, particularly from this view. Lovely. Still, yeah, I think the same thing about the green shapes, particularly this slope. It's just all running off the green. Like, what? I don't understand really why we're cutting it there, or really allowing. Why are we cutting green if it all rolls off? This doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. Got an interesting shot with that, particularly with the wind. That's not too bad. Good variety to the course so far. And again, yeah, really like that you didn't. But it's a shame I didn't get to play the shot. But had we hit the fairway, kind of rolling the ball in from short and using the land to get it close is fun, and will work well. Yeah, but in terms of planting again, I think clumping your trees would work well. These just look very automatically spaced at separate distances, whereas I think if you group them together a bit more, make them look a little bit more random, it will look better. Especially as you see they're kind of same orientation, same height around here. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't quite feel as natural as it could. This green shape's better. This one makes a lot more sense. I mean, I'd probably still have the back bit as green, but you can kind of see that this one's maybe sloping down at the back. I don't know. I think 3 wood. This is pretty tight, no matter what we do. Well, there's that very slow again. I appreciate that we've got, I mean, this green design sloping wise is really good in the sense that a lot of this is all playable, but the trick is to try to leave yourself below the hole as much as you can. For this pin we've got a backstop which hopefully we can use, but I think for pins back here you just don't want to go past, or you've got a really racy putt coming down. But then a little bit of interest with this back pin here. That is not too bad. But yeah, I like that you didn't overslope that green. There's one constant slope to add interest. I think that can be done. That can work really, really well. And you see this little appendage of green. This one does make more sense because you can see that it is falling off pretty much everywhere around it. You could still argue that you can smooth it out and make a more cohesive shape rather than it just being like this green and then here's an extra bit so we can put a pen out there. And I think as you'll have seen, that offers you more playability options as well in how we run the ball onto the green. It's not the tee shot we wanted. Yeah, as you can see, waste bunker sculpting, I think you can flatten this out, just dropping off pretty dramatically. Oh, I'm annoyed I've missed the fairway because this is a good looking approach shot. Alright, this bit of land's... This is slightly confusing me how the green is sloping this way, yet the land is sloping this way. So I think that would be something where this, to me, screams that this bit of land must be low. And then that also gives you the help of, well, if you want to access that little tongue of green, well, if this slope were reversed and going the other way, well, we can land it there and then just run it on down. I think generally looking at what the land is trying to do and then building your green slopes off that typically helps much more. That was a risky shot. Might need to go. But yeah, lots to like on this one. The variety's been really good. There we go. Oh, I'm sure that was in. Unfortunate. Variety of hole designs was good. Might have liked one more par 5 or one more par 3 just to break it up a bit, but hey, it's a 6-hole loop, one par 3 and one par 5. Completely makes sense. You had 2 shorter par 4, well, 3 shorter par 4s if you think about your dogleg third as well, so maybe we want one where we're forcing a little bit of a longer approach, particularly as if I'd hit the fairway on that last, all of your par 4s are playing pretty short. And that's one where on a short, small plot like that, maybe you're looking at putting, it's hard to explain without a visual, but maybe if you're looking at bringing the tee back behind a green, so you play the green, walk a little bit further on to play your tee shot, and then walk back in the other direction. Think about how they've lengthened holes at like Augusta or St Andrews, and that will allow you to generate a bit more space on the plot even without really using that much more, if that makes sense. But overall, a lot to like here, and yeah, look forward to following your progress. Best of luck.